In this video I'll be showing a selection of images that I've taken during visits to David Tiplings' woodland hide in Norfolk. Although David attracts a wide range of both large and small birds to the setup, the star attraction is that you get the chance to photograph sparrowhawks, which will regularly come close enough to the hide for photography. Also there's the chance of photographing buzzard too. All the images in the video are taken using either the Olympus EM1X or the EM1 II. For photographing small birds I use the 300mm f4 Pro lens, and when photographing the larger birds I use the 40-150 f2.8 plus the MC14 converter. David Tipling is a professional nature photographer from Norfolk. He runs various one-to-one photo safari workshops in Norfolk, an area that he knows like the back of his hand. As well as running one-to-one workshops, he also has a very good woodland hide that he will hire out to photographers. For photographers who want to photograph a variety of birds and wildlife, there are several commercial photographic hides around the country. You can hire these hides out and they give the photographer the chance to photograph birds and wildlife when you do not have the time or opportunity to set something up on your own. Although I have only been to a few of these commercial hides, of the ones that I have visited, David's woodland hide is certainly one of the best. Testament to this is that I've been back on 3 separate occasions. Information on how to hire the hide as well as details of David's one-to-one photo safaris can be found on his website at www.norfolkphotosafaris.com. Because David's hide feeding station has been set up for several years, he does attract a large selection of birds to the site, ranging from a variety of small birds through to larger birds of prey like sparrowhawk and buzzard. If you are hiring the hide, David will set everything up for you and then leave you to take the pictures. Sessions usually start at 8:30 AM and you can stay until the light has gone. David will put out birdseed, mealworms and fat mixture to attract the small birds for photography. The best time to visit the hide is early in the year, January through to April, when there is less natural food around. In colder weather, birds will naturally go where the food is being offered. David will bait the birds to within range of the equipment that you have, so he is very accommodating in this respect of the type of camera as well as the focal length of the lens that you are using. You do not have to wait many minutes for the small birds to start coming in. The larger birds like jays and magpies usually take a little bit longer. Having said that, on this occasion I had brought some acorns in the hope of photographing a jay with an acorn in its beak. This shot was literally taken after I'd been in the hide for about 10 minutes. One big advantage with this feeding station is that a hide is set into the ground, so you photograph the birds from a ground level viewpoint. Photographing birds at ground level normally involves laying flat on the ground, and this can be quite uncomfortable for long periods. But because David's hide is sunk into the ground, you can photograph at ground level while sitting in the comfort of a chair. The hide is quite large and will comfortably take 3 photographers, although at present David is limiting it to 2 photographers. There are openings at the front of the hide to photograph from. I say openings, but they're not true openings as if you were poking the lens through scrim netting. In this hide you photograph the birds through Stropsil one-way glass. You can see outside of the hide clearly, but the birds cannot see you inside. The advantage of this is that you can move around and change lenses within the hide without the movement scaring the birds. The glass is of excellent quality and there is no loss of definition when photographing through the glass, as can be seen by the sharpness of these images. The only minor disadvantage is that there is about 1/3 of a stop loss of light. Because you're in a wood, the light can be quite changeable. On dull days you may find you have to increase the ISO slightly to get a faster shutter speed, but with modern day cameras this is not a problem. Just in front of the hide is a small natural looking pond. It's very shallow, only a couple of inches deep in the middle and with gently sloping sides, so even the small birds will drink and bathe without any fear of getting out of their depth. A whole range of birds will come and use the pond, from the small tits and finches to larger birds like blackbirds, woodpeckers and jays. I was particularly pleased with these shots of a female bullfinch, which came down to drink. It was there for about 2 minutes, so it enabled me to get a good selection of very nice images. One bird that I particularly enjoyed photographing there is the wren. It will occasionally come to the edge of the pond, either to drink or looking for insects, grubs or mealworms that David has sprinkled in the leaf litter. On all 3 occasions that I've been there, David has a small silver birch log set in the pond. This log has the centre chiselled out so they can fill the depression with a mixture of fat, suet and crushed peanuts. A whole range of small birds will come in and feed on this. Nuthatches in particular like to feed from this log. You must have quick reactions to get shots of nuthatch before it gets its head down and starts to feed. Nuthatches do not always pose nicely for you like some of the other birds do, so you need to have quick reactions. On another occasion I was able to photograph this confrontation between a male blackbird and a great spotted woodpecker. This confrontation only lasted for the briefest part of a second, but fortunately I was using Pro Capture at the time, so did not miss the shot. One advantage of having this log set in the pond is that it does give you the opportunity to get shots of birds with their reflection in the water, as with this shot of a great spotted woodpecker. Although it's great to photograph all the small birds, the star attraction photographing at this hide is that David will regularly have visits from the larger birds of prey. Both buzzard and in particular sparrowhawk are regular visitors. On all 3 of my visits to the hide, a sparrowhawk has always put in an appearance. On my second visit to the hide, the sparrowhawk visited on 3 separate occasions throughout the day. The reason that the sparrowhawk and buzzard are coming in is that David will often stake out a dead roadkill wood pigeon to attract it in. The sparrowhawks in the area have obviously realised that there will often be a free and easy meal for them there, so they often frequent the site for easy pickings. On my second visit I shared a hide with a photography friend. We were getting set up in the hide and David said we should get ready because he could see the sparrowhawk up in the trees and he didn't think it would be long before it came down. Once David had everything set up and we were happy, he started walking the 200 yards back to his car. Before David was even in his car, the sparrowhawk came down. Obviously you don't want the sparrowhawk to land, pick up the carcass and fly away with it, so David pegs the wood pigeon down so that the sparrowhawk will eat it there. That means the bird can be there for about 10 to 15 minutes plucking and eating, enabling you to attain a whole series of shots. While it is there for such a long period of time, it pays to experiment with composition. This shot was taken with a 40 to 150mm lens. I then zoomed in to obtain a tighter shot using the 300mm. This tight headshot was taken with the 300mm f4 lens coupled with the MC20 2x converter. This image shows just how sharp that lens is even with the 2x converter attached. The dead wood pigeon will also attract buzzards. They are not as regular or confident as the sparrowhawk, but on my third visit I was lucky enough to have one put on a good display. I saw it initially from a distance away sitting up in the tree, and it sat there for about 15 minutes before it decided to come down. At this distance it was perfect for the 300mm lens and these shots were taken handheld. Once it came down I used the 40 to 150 2.8 and it was there for about 10 minutes being completely oblivious to the hide. On this occasion David had actually found a roadkill hare that morning, so this was actually staked out to attract it as well. The last session that I had at the hide was quite late in the season, almost late spring, early summer. There was not as many birds coming in, but I was very fortunate to have a jay and his young ones come down. It was amazing to watch these juveniles, which are almost the same size as the adult, pestering the adult and calling out to be fed. David now has a second hide at the location in a slightly more open aspect. I've not used this hide, but I would think it would be just as productive as the ground level hide. If you're interested in booking this hide, contact David to see what dates are available. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it helpful. Please check out my other YouTube videos and click the subscribe button to be notified of future uploads. Thanks for watching.